Hi everyone, I'm Deb McBride and I am a professional astrologer, and I welcome you to the video on Saturn and Pluto. So Saturn and Pluto are getting together for the first time in the same sign at the same time since 1983. And they don't get together very often, and so this is kind of a special event. And so I want to review every house that they go in for each person's sign. And so what we're going to look at is we're going to share my screen, and we're going to explain what they're about and how they work together and how sometimes they're a little bit of a power struggle together. But essentially, this is a very resilient aspect. And the two of them together can create really strong situations where we feel we can move mountains in our life, where we can overcome major blockages in our life. Saturn is going to reveal where those blockages are. Pluto is going to say, let's transform it and up-level your life. Each and every one of us is getting Saturn Pluto. It's already started. They are already joining together in the sign of Capricorn. When they were together in 1981, 1982, and 1983, they were in the sign of Libra, and then both moved into the sign of Scorpio together. So if you were born in 1981, 1982, 1983, and maybe early 1984, you have Saturn Pluto together in your charts, and this is a particularly powerful transit for you. So the two of them getting together again is very powerful for you, and you need to pay a lot of attention this year and next year. If you were born in 1946, 1947, this too was the last time before 1983 that Saturn and Pluto were together. So they do other things. They have cycles in the sky. They do other things and they get together in different configurations. But the two of them together is what we call a conjunction. And a conjunction is a blending of energy. And so Saturn, we're going to talk about Saturn's energy and what that's like and how that works with Pluto. Now, Saturn is a cardinal earth sign. It rules Capricorn. It presides over the government, patriarchy, authority figures such as your parents, especially when you're a kid. Saturn requires us to be responsible and dutiful, exercise caution, work hard, have integrity, create structure and boundaries in our life, and be focused and committed. Now, the thing about focus and commitment is really the big moment for Saturn. Because if you are focused and committed when you've got Saturn either visiting your chart or dealing with your natal Saturn that you have natally in your natal chart that you were born with, you will win the day if you deal with it in a focused and committed manner. So this is very important to stay on path and committed to an outcome, and you know what the outcome is. Sometimes things change along the way. But Saturn is going to force you to confront your fears, confront your anxieties, and not allow you to waver in your commitment. Because Pluto is saying you will transform. Saturn's friend Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and it's a fixed water sign. Scorpio is a fixed water sign. And Pluto presides over the underworld, the subconscious mind, passion, sexuality, psychotherapy, high finance. We've all heard the word plutocrat. A plutocrat is someone who has a lot of money. Pluto brings a lot of money. Pluto can bring you a lot of money. Death, transformation, and rebirth. This is really Pluto's domain because Pluto is about shedding the skin and starting anew and transforming your life. So wherever Saturn and Pluto are visiting you, it's going to be about a major transformation. Pluto requires us to go deep, allow ourselves to transform, empower ourselves, not stay disempowered, and shine a light, take that flashlight and shine it on our own darkness in order to heal it. This is the best way to empower yourself, is to understand that there's something that you have to work out, something dark, something not in conscious mind, and you shine your light in that subconscious, that unconscious area, and that's when it no longer has power over you. This is truly the way to heal yourself. So, moving right along, Saturn and Pluto are going to require us to be resilient. They are going to require us to be very connected to the area of our lives where this is present. I'm going to go through sign by sign and tell you where it's going to be affecting you. If you are, so now, first of all, they are in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign, as we learned. It initiates action. Has a lot of integrity. It works hard. It has high expectations. Capricorns have high expectations of themselves and of you. Just so you know that. They are leaders. They have leadership abilities. They are practical and security oriented. They're very realistic. They're not lofty and fluffy and have a fantasy life. It's not like that. They create structure and boundaries in the world. And they really are not the practical joker, funny person you're going to find in your group of friends. They're really the serious one. They're very loyal. They're very hardworking. You know, hire a Capricorn. They're going to do good for you. However, they're not going to necessarily, they're going to want to see the reality of your life. If you're going to go talk to them about your lofty aims and your fantasies, and they're going to be, yeah, but what's the practical side of this? What is the pragmatic side of this? That's a Capricorn for you. So there is a part of this that is going to be very practical. But Capricorn, when you address Saturn, Saturn gets you what you want. And Capricorn is about achievement. It's an earth sign. It's about having something tangible in your hand. When you work through Saturn, you get something tangible in your hand. And that's what we're all going for right now, whatever area of your life that may be in. Capricorn. If you are a Capricorn, it's going to be in your first house. This is the house of yourself, the person you reveal to the world, the face you wear in the world, your mask that you're showing to everyone, your actual physical head, your physical appearance, what people see when they meet you, the way you see the world and how you have created that world in front of you, whether it's beautiful, whether it's gray, whatever you've created. Your personality, first house is the personality, and leadership. So your ability to go out into the world and become a leader and a warrior, that's the first house. The first house is really, when you get Saturn and Pluto to the first house, it is a transformation of self. You are going to go into the world as a different person. You're going to shed your skin. You're going to release your fears. You're going to release any sense of false selves that you have shown. If you've like, wow, I've been really a phony there, or I really want to show my true self, Saturn and Pluto will give you that true self. That's really important. So pay attention to that. It is a complete overhaul of self. The second house, the second sign, actually, the 12th house is Aquarius. So after Capricorn comes Aquarius, Saturn and Pluto are in the 12th house for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. This is the unconscious mind, sleep, dreams, where we go to rest and convalesce, psychic abilities, karma, the collective unconscious, healers, if you are a healer, if you go to healers, and institutions such as prisons, hospitals, and ashrams. Again, where you go to convalesce, rest, get some rest in your life. The 12th house is where we go to our own unconscious vibes, our own personal emotional baggage. Everything is living in the 12th house. And so when Saturn and Pluto go through there, they're really plowing through your old stuff. And it's time to just free yourself of the old unconscious patterns. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, very independent sign. They're a sign of, advanced thinking, innovative thinking, brilliance, genius. So they need to use their genius to go within, because that's where the action's happening, inside. If you want to change what's going out in your world, you have to go inside first. And that's what Aquarius needs to do now, if you haven't been doing it already. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So Aquarians know all the unconscious stuff pretty well by now. If they're avoiding it, Saturn is going to come in and say, no more avoidance. We have to work through this. So Aquarius can deeply find their mastery in this house, in the 12th house. When they go digging into their unconscious, they find jewels and treasures of their own mastery. And that's what Saturn and Pluto are trying to help us do, connect to our mastery. Pisces. If you are a Pisces, this is affecting your 11th house. That's where your friends are, your friendships, your groups and communities, organizations and clubs, the group dynamic, whatever group you belong to, whether it's a Scrabble group, an astrology group, a psychotherapy group, whatever, you are going to feel that group dynamic shift, because Saturn and Pluto are coming in and they are bringing in a whole new structure and a whole new vibe in your group. So maybe you guys have to be a little more open to whoever's coming into the group. Maybe you're in an astrology group and you study Western astrology, and a bunch of Vedic astrologers start attending your group functions. You have to incorporate that. You can't put up the wall and say, we don't believe in that branch of astrology. You got to, and that's just an example. Anything where the group gets expanded, where you find your mastery within the group, whether you and your friends and your friendships, they may change. You should try to make them deeper relationships, because this is Saturn and Pluto undoing all the blockages you would have to any sort of friendship relationship. We move to the 10th house, where Aries and Aries rising is experiencing this transit of Saturn and Pluto. It's our vocation, whether our career or not. So if you are a musician and you are an accountant by day and a musician by night, the musician stuff is in the 10th house. Later when we talk about the 6th house, that's where your everyday job is. Now maybe your everyday job is musician and your career. Then you're a lucky person. A lot of people have that 6th house. I am, a school teacher by day and a visual artist by night. I'm painting at night and on the weekends. This is where, the 10th house comes in. It's your reputation, for good or not. So if Saturn and Pluto are coming to your 10th house, this is a really wonderful opportunity to put yourself in the world. And if you have a career that requires you to be on stage or to be, successful in the public eye, this is the place, this is the time to do it, to push that career. Because Saturn and Pluto could make you very well known, or very famous. The thing that is cautionary about Saturn and Pluto here is that if you haven't been good and you haven't been doing things with integrity and with focus and commitment, and you have cut corners, or you, worse, have cheated, lied, affected people in a bad way, then Saturn and Pluto are going to reveal that to the world. And that's what happens when they come to the 10th house. It's your reputation. So if you have a tarnished reputation behind closed doors, it's not going to be behind closed doors anymore. It's going to come out. Everybody has a little darkness in their life, but if you've outrightly been hurting people or cheating in some way or spying in some way, then Saturn and Pluto are going to reveal that to the world, and your reputation will sink. This is a time when there could be a fall from grace with Saturn and Pluto in the 10th house when they move through that. So just be very aware of that. There are many public figures who have had either Saturn or Pluto or both of them come to their 10th house, and there has been a fall from grace. So just be aware of that. But if you're doing well, you're going to work harder than you ever have in your life, and there's certainly lots of other public figures who've worked really hard and achieved great things with Saturn and Pluto coming to their 10th house. Taurus. If you are a Taurus or Taurus rising, this is going to affect your 9th house. So your beliefs, your philosophy, your religious upbringing. Saturn and Pluto transform things. Maybe you are going to start to look at philosophy and religion in a different way. Maybe you are going to take up some more long-distance travel or decide to live somewhere that is not your native country. Foreign languages, culture, foreign countries, anything that is not your homeland. It's also higher education. So maybe you're going to go for an advanced degree. Maybe you're going to go back and become a professor. Could work either way. Publishing. If you're in the publishing industry, if you're trying to publish something. The law. This is where the law happens in the 9th house, and then we go to the 10th house where, the reputation is either bolstered or tarnished. So the law is, the study of law. This could be the higher education study of law, or coming into things around the law, meaning that, there's a legal deal that you have to take care of. So just be aware of that. And it's very much about, paying attention to your experience of your philosophy, what you grew up with, if that works for you anymore. Saturn or Pluto might tell you that they don't. So reconsider all of that. You may take up a course of study. a course of study that may enlighten you to different belief systems, different cultures, different philosophical beliefs across the world. So pay attention to that. Gemini, if you're a Gemini, this is affecting your 8th house, or if you're Gemini rising, this is affecting your 8th house. The 8th house is interesting because the boundaries established between us and everything else are in the 8th house. So traditionally we call it the house of sex, death, and other people's money. But it's where we share resources. It's where we connect with someone deeply and intimately through the sexual act. It's where we have, business partnership finances, marital partnership finances. It is anywhere where we're going to merge with something greater, such as in death, when we merge with something bigger than ourselves. Sex, when we merge intimately with another. The unseen side of the psyche. So another, like the 12th house is the unconscious, but the 8th house is also psychotherapy and how we go into the exploration of the mind. It is a deep investigation into the unknown. So this is where people are private detectives, people are psychotherapists, sex therapists, anybody who is like key in the investment world often has 8th house planets. So anything going through for Gemini, anything that's going through your 8th house, Geminis like to process things intellectually. They like to embrace things that are all about puzzles and figuring things out. And this for them is going to feel like they're trying to figure out their own psyche, figure out something deep about the big answers and questions in life. That's the part of the unseen side of the psyche, deep investigation into the unknown. Geminis might start having interest and start reading, because Geminis love to read. Start reading about reincarnation. What happens in the afterlife? Is there an afterlife? What happens when we die? That's really an 8th house topic. And so for Saturn and Pluto to travel through there, Geminis are going to feel like they are opening a door to the other side. And they're going to learn all sorts of stuff. Also, this could be a very psychic house as well. Anyone who's a Gemini has already got a lot of information passing through their brain. This could tune up the intuition a whole lot. And so Geminis might really feel like they're thinking on a whole other level, but it's a more intuitive experience, and it's not so much the thought mind. So be free to explore all sorts of unusual topics, such as reincarnation, the afterlife, astrology. So that's where Geminis should take their energy now. Cancer and Cancer rising. Cancer is the opposite sign from Capricorn. And so therefore, Cancers are here, Capricorn's here, and this is where it's all happening in the 7th house. The opposite from the 1st house. So the 7th house for Cancerians is all about partnerships, one-to-one relationships, both marital and business. So that means your business partner, your marriage partner, someone you want to make your marriage partner, don't want to make your marriage partner, work colleagues who partner on projects, contracts and agreements set between you and another. So we fall in love elsewhere in the zodiac in the 5th house. We get married and sign a marriage contract in the 7th house. The 7th house is not about falling in love. It's about the deal you make. But it is about the person who sits across the table from you. So if you are not in a one-to-one personal relationship and you're a Cancerian, it is very possible that you might start really meeting people and form a commitment to someone with Saturn and Pluto going through your 7th house. Cancerians like security. They don't like to be alone. And so when it starts to affect the person across the table, when they start to look at them differently, this is a very profound thing for a Cancerian. They like having people around them, especially their family, but they really do like having people around them. And they want to look at their people in a different light now and study them differently. And the thing that Saturn and Pluto are going to do is they're going to say, do you really want this? And the type of person you're going to attract is going to be completely different than who you used to attract. So you're going to be asking yourselves, do I want to be in this anymore? Because I think I'm a different person now. If your sun is here and Saturn and Pluto are opposite your sun, you are changing and you are seeing it in the other person across the table. Be very careful who you choose to bond with right now, because you're changing exponentially, dramatically on a regular level right now, and it's important to connect with people on a deep level and not a superficial level. Be careful about who you bring into your life and choose wisely, because Saturn and Pluto can bring in a very controlling person, and you don't want to do that. You want to have your freedom and be free to make your choices in your life and live your life. So be very aware of how Saturn and Pluto affects the people that you bring into your life. Leo, if you are a Leo, this is affecting your 6th house. Now, I mentioned the 6th house before. That's your everyday job. That's where you go to work every day. If you work from your home, if you work out outside the home, wherever you go, this is your job. Our everyday work, it's the routine, health, emotional, physical, mental, small animals such as pets. So it is work and health, essentially. And work can be very healing, and it should be very healing for us. If we're going to go to work every day and spend much of our life working, we should enjoy it, and it should be a wonderful experience. Is it a wonderful experience? If it's not, Leo will be very unhappy. They're creative, happy people. They're ruled by the sun. They're not going to like going to work every day if it's a drag. And Saturn and Pluto are going to enlighten them to what they need to do to change their everyday work. So if they're not making enough money, if they're not happy, if they're depressed at their job, time to change jobs. Saturn and Pluto, when they visit a house, do not leave a stone unturned. This isn't like, oh yeah, they visited my 6th house and nothing happened. That's not going to happen. It's going to be some very profound realization about one's everyday work. So seek to make changes. Seek to embrace a whole new dynamic at work. Try not to have power struggles if you work with people. Be careful about that. And just embrace the mastery of the job that you do, because that's what's really important with Saturn and Pluto there. You're going to get better at what you do every day, and that's what you want. Okay, moving along. If you're a Virgo, this is your 5th house. The 5th house is creativity, the arts, children, falling in love. Anywhere we have fun, whether it's parties, socializing, gambling, drinking, smoking, fun. It's also, when we fall in love, this is the house of love affairs. Now, Virgos are very practical people who are very much about, doing the right thing and the details and being organized and being very loyal, and they're really good hard workers too. They're another earth sign. This is getting them out to have fun, because Virgos, are going to stay home with the spreadsheets. I don't know too many Virgos who are party animals. They can be, easily, they get stomach issues and stuff. They're ruled by Mercury, but Virgo rules the stomach, and so the digestive system. And so Virgos don't party so much in many ways, because they are often just very practical in their days, and they don't want to feel bad. They want to feel healthy. So the 5th house for them, this is what for them to go out and transform the way they have fun and fall in love. So fall wildly, madly, happily in love. Or maybe it's time for them to have children. Or maybe it's time for them to tap into their creativity, embrace the arts a little more in their life. Maybe it's time to not party or not gamble or not do any of that. Although I don't know many Virgos with gambling problems. But this 5th house is really where you want to go and relearn how to have fun, transform the way you have fun, and embrace your children on a whole other level. They're going to teach you things now that you never thought they could possibly ever teach you, or that you could possibly learn. So don't shut the children down. Embrace them. Bring them into your life more every day. Learn from them. Teach them. Saturn Pluto is a profound relationship with your children. Okay. Libra. Libras love peace and serenity. And in the 4th house, they will be dealing with Saturn and Pluto around their family. So the fourth house is about family, both immediate and distant. Our home, the one where we grew up, the one where we make now, the family history, the stories and secrets, genealogy, ancestry, emotional experience of the family. If you're a Libra and you like things serene and pleasant and lovely and pretty and nice, the fourth house where your family is and your home is going to be a little bit messy, and you have to accept it because Saturn and Pluto are going to come through there and shake things up a bit because it needs to be shaken up. So on the surface, Libra likes everything to be beautiful. They love aesthetic. They love details of beauty. But here they have to also, the fourth house, the eighth house, the 12th house, these are all emotional houses. They're water houses. And this is where we do our emotional homework. So there may be things about a Libra's family now that they are going to uncover that they had no idea about, the family secrets. There may be a time they want to go research their ancestry, and this is really exciting for them. And they're going to uncover all these things. This is really about uncovering the family dynamic, the emotional experience of the family, their history, what it was like growing up, and what might have been holding you back from what you grew up. You know, your family has certain ideals and structure and opinions about things, and this might be a time to release all those opinions that have held you back in the past. Maybe you're carrying around ideas that were your parents, and they're not here anymore for you to have to please them by upholding their ideals. So it's a big housekeeping. Maybe you're going to sell your house. Maybe you're going to buy a new house. Maybe you're going to find a new place to live. Saturn and Pluto is all about that. So embrace it. It could be messy. It's okay. It's a good thing because it'll turn out okay in the end. Scorpio. For Scorpios or Scorpio risings, this is their third house. And they're used to Saturn-Pluto energy. They're used to Pluto energy. They're used to digging deep and getting intense. They have no problem with that. So this is the mind, the intellect, how we think and communicate. Writing, speaking, articulating. Our immediate environment, such as our neighborhood, walking, movement, walking around the neighborhood. That's a very third house activity. Local travel, short journeys, and siblings. Now, if you're Scorpio and you have problems with your siblings, again, there's family, Saturn and Pluto is going to iron all that out. If you're a Scorpio and you have, you want to publish a book, or you want to be speaking, have speaking engagements, this is the time to do it. Publish that book. Get that information out there. Go out and talk to people. Connect. Show people what your mind is all about. This is about your intellect. This is about learning. This is about communicating your ideas. It's very important to do this right now. This will transform your life. I always wanted to write. I always wanted to write a book. I always thought I had so much to say. Say it. Do it. This is the time. Don't sit back and go, oh, that's for other people. Saturn and Pluto are visiting your third house. This is the time to grab a hold of this and embrace what it's like to speak your mind and share your ideas with the world. Okay. Scorpios usually keep their ideas to themselves, but we're asking them to come out and speak now. Sagittarius. This is the second house. So if you're a Sagittarian or a Sagittarius rising, Capricorn's your second house, and this is where it's all going to go. It's finances, it's wealth, it's how we make money, it's our self-worth, our self-value, our skills and abilities that give us an income or not, meaning you could be really great at knitting and crocheting, but you don't get paid for that. It's just one of your skills. Our money versus the money of others. That was the eighth house, other people's money. The material world, that which we value. So our values, our possessions, our values in our life as well. What we value, what we put high value on. Our desires, what we want to get in life, our material possessions, our desire. I want a new car, that kind of thing. That which constitutes personal security. So maybe a high income constitutes personal security to you. Maybe having a new car every other year constitutes personal security. Maybe a high bank balance. Maybe it's just personal security is you know that your skills and abilities are intact and you can work anywhere. It has nothing to do with money. Just knows that you're going to be busy and effective in the world because you're going to be sharing your resources and expanding your life by bringing your talents to the table. This is where we have talent. If you have Saturn and Pluto going through here like Sagittarians. Now, Sagittarians love risk. They love just jumping in and diving into something new. Saturn and Pluto are going to teach them how to possibly do that with their possessions, their world possessions and security, how they feel about their finances. Saturn and Pluto could make you a lot of money if you're Sag rising. Sagittarians are very lucky people anyway. They're ruled by Jupiter. But this could make someone a lot of money if they play their cards right and they use their skills and abilities. If you are a Sag rising and you're trying to find something new to do, this is the time to up-level your skills and abilities. There may be latent skills that you have. Oh, I haven't done that in years. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. Go back and look at those things. Saturn wants you to reconnect with your mastery. Saturn and Pluto together. Go get that mastery. Maybe you need more skills, and maybe that's what it is right now. Going and studying something new, embracing something that you can use to bring in new income. But it is about your finances. It is about what you value. It's about your possessions. So, and that's it. We've gone through every sign. We are very aware of what's happening. Saturn and Pluto will join together. They're getting closer now. They're going to do some retrograding where they separate a little bit. But their exact conjunction is going to be on January 12th, 2020. And I expect there to be a lot of activity for everyone during this time. And I expect us to all learn something really profoundly new and dig in and become the person that we want to become. If you have goals and desires and achievements that you want in your life, now is the time to do it because they are there to help us. No one says it's going to be an easy road. Saturn and Pluto are resilient and tough, and we have to just keep going back to the drawing board and doing it until we get what we want. This is an aspect that can, like I said, be a bit of a power struggle, but the power struggle is really with ourselves. You know, once we embrace what it is that we want and what we're going to do, it's really time to let it happen and confront all the fears that Saturn brings up. Pluto will transform. And remember that. And while you're going through this and while you're experiencing this, you can just keep going back to remembering that we're supposed to transform it. Take a layer off, transform. Take a layer off, transform. This is the whole theme of this year and next year. So I invite you to visit my website debmcbride.com, and I invite you to contact me for a personal session if you'd like, deb@debmcbride.com. I thank you for listening, and I thank you for enjoying astrology. Thanks so much.